Fantastic. Long title to say that I manage the volunteer program here with Planned Parenthood South Texas in San Antonio, and I also do some organizing for Planned Parenthood South Texas here in San Antonio as well. So yeah, I actually met Cheyenne at a high-risk mothers screening at YWCA, and she very quickly recruited me for this talk. So I was super excited because that's literally organizing happening in real time. So I very much appreciate being here, and we work with CHWs, all the time. So I admire the work that all of y'all are going to be doing here, and I think organizing fits perfectly with the work that CHWs do. And I'm excited to be able to talk to y'all today. So I'm pretty loosey-goosey. If y'all have questions and you want to just interrupt me and hop off mute, that's totally fine. If you want to throw it in the chat, I will do my best to keep an eye on the chat. Cheyenne, feel free to interrupt me. But yeah, I just have some slides here on what the heck even is organizing and how can it fit into the work that you are doing in the community every single day. So let's get into it. I always like to start with some community agreements. That's the Planned Parenthood way. So, going to quickly go through these. Be present, meaning, for the time that we have together, just going to try and be as present as possible. We have move up, move back. So if we have folks kind of taking the time to speak up, I think that's great and that's lovely. And maybe we need to move back to make some room for other people to feel comfortable to speak up. So that's what that one is. Jargon giraffe. This is very much a Planned Parenthood ism. If there is ever anything that I am saying or someone else is saying that is like way too in the weeds with jargons and acronyms, and I know that we're all swimming in acronyms all the time, feel free to say, hey, I have no idea what that means, and we can clarify. There's no such thing as a stupid question here. One DVEX, one mic. So this is just try not to talk over each other. And lastly, we have no one knows everything, but together we know a lot. So this is where we ask questions, we create a dialogue together. So we just do these community agreements to make sure that it's a safe space for everyone. Okay, now let's get into, after the legal disclaimer, we'll get into the fun stuff. Okay, basically just saying that these informational materials are not intended and should not be taken as legal advice. So if you have legal advice, please contact a lawyer in your jurisdiction on any specific legal issues. All righty, now we can get into the fun stuff. Let's do it. So I'll give you a brief agenda so you know what we're going to be doing today together. I'll tell you a little bit about me and kind of, I guess, what makes me qualified to be here as an organizer. We'll go over some organizing definitions. We'll talk about organizing theory, organizing principles, and then we'll end on some tips on how you can apply organizing to your work. Alrighty. So this is a little bit about me. Like I said, my name is Kate Sanchez. I started organizing in 2016. So we're 8 years in. I started at UT Austin with a small group of students called United Students Against Sweatshops. And this was because UT Austin had just taken a deal with Nike, and Nike is notoriously known for some pretty horrible working conditions. So we were working to make sure that, people knew what was going on and who we were taking our apparel from. 2017, I got to unionize the St. Edward's cafeteria in Austin because they had just been taken over by a larger corporation called Bon Appetit and had some workers there being paid $10 an hour, and they had been there for several years. So we were able to get them a living wage. We were able to get them better benefits and better working hours. 2019 was the bathroom bill. That was the first time I testified at a statewide, bill trying to say that people of certain assigned people at sex at birth have to go in certain bathrooms. So we were at the Capitol until about 5 a.m. protesting this bill, testifying against this bill. So that was the first time I got exposed to that. I worked with people who were houseless in Austin. And then in 2021, I moved to DC, and that's where I found Planned Parenthood. So kind of meandered my way through a lot of different sectors before I found Repro, and actually was lucky / unfortunate to be in DC when Roe versus Wade fell. So I was actually at the Supreme Court shortly thereafter with large numbers of protesters there. So historical and not in a fun way. So just a little bit about me and my background in organizing and what types of campaigns I've been a part of. Alrighty, so this is where we kind of get into the nitty-gritty. So this is where we'll define organizing theory and we'll define organizing principles. So like what the heck even is organizing? What does it look like? So the organizing theory is the shared framework. It's adaptable for any size team or campaign that's intended to establish your clear purpose and your outcome. So the theory is like your goal. What is your goal in what you're trying to do? So like some examples, of an organizing theory is we're trying to restore abortion access in Texas for the purpose of healthcare for all, right? We're trying to educate the community on the importance of getting out and voting. Why are we doing that? Because everyone's voice deserves to be heard. So that's just kind of like your overarching theory of what goal you're trying to accomplish. And then you do this through organized people, organized ideas, and organized resources. And we'll get into what those mean a little bit later. But organizing principles, longer definition, basically saying that these are the tools that you're going to utilize in order to achieve that goal that you set with your organizing theory. Organizers don't use this day to day, like we're not talking organizing theory and organizing principles, but this is just some really good background for y'all to have. So we're going to get into the organized people, ideas, and resources. And if I'm going too quick, please tell me to slow down. I have no problem doing that. Alrighty. Organized people. I think, each part of the triangle as far as organized people, ideas, and resources are extremely important. The people are the crux of why we are organizing. So organized people, we do this, we develop individuals through interdependent leadership structures to effectively build scale and demonstrate power to achieve impact towards a common goal. So I kind of broke this down for y'all as far as like, what the heck does that mean? So developing individuals, this is usually through like mentorship, through training, through educational workshops, exactly like what we're doing right now. Building scale, what does that mean? Building scale is physically inviting more people into the movement. So you go to a public comment to talk about the San Antonio Reproductive Justice Fund and why we think it should be a thing in this city, and you invite a friend, that is organizing people. And that's building scale. Demonstrating power toward a common vision, this is people power. So you're bringing more people into the movement, you're building that scale, you're training your people, and this is people power. This is how we are demonstrating our power as the people toward our common vision or goal. So yeah, this is one part of the triangle, organized people. Then we have organized ideas. Once we have our people ready, what are the ideas we're trying to get out into the community or into the powers that be? So these are the clear solutions that address the deeply felt injustices by the majority of organized people and their allies. So I have some photos here. With the one on the left where you see the Capitol. This was from our lobby day 2023, and we were able to bring, oh my gosh, between us and our C4 arm, probably close to 100, if not more people there, to talk to, lawmakers about the lay of the land when it comes to reproductive health and where we need to be going and how we need to get there. And then on the right, we have a photo of us doing some period packing. This is a project that kind of grew legs and walked off. Starting last year in January, we were giving these period packs to migrants at the Texas-Mexico border. And it very quickly expanded to nonprofit partners in Brownsville and Harlingen and in San Antonio, who are helping those that are experiencing any sort of period poverty. And so since January 2023, we've distributed over 8,000 of these period packs across South Texas. So the need is definitely there. And these are both, just ideas that we were able to organize people around and able to, define these clear solutions that are impacting, when we say a majority of the organized people, it's typically going to be marginalized populations, right? So like for CHW work, I imagine it's maybe folks that, don't have insurance, or maybe it's folks that are struggling navigating the very complicated US healthcare system, so that the CHWs are there to kind of meet them where they're at. So these are the ideas presented that are solutions to the problem, or at least solutions that will bring out more solutions to end the problem. So we have organized ideas, organized people, and lastly, we have organized resources. So this is the money, the institutions, the talent, the access points to powerful influences and industries to organize around those shared ideas, people, and solutions. So some good examples of this. On the left, we have our annual luncheon that we do every year. Last year, we were able to bring out the amazing Stacey Abrams as our guest speaker, and we had over 1,400 people in that room. And this was, the annual luncheon is what brings in a lot of the money for us here at Planned Parenthood South Texas. So a perfect example of organized resources. The mayor was in attendance. Stacey Abrams is an absolutely a great example of a powerful influence. And then here on the bottom right, you see we have Mayor Ron Nirenberg. He's going to cut the ribbon for us at our newest clinic location off of Richland Hills. Wendy Davis was also there. For those who are familiar with Wendy Davis, she was the congresswoman who filibustered for, I think it was 11 hours to keep abortion access safe in Texas many years ago, 2013. So these are just examples of what organized resources look like. And it's not obviously not limited to this, but this is just some recent examples that we've used to kind of help uplift what we're doing in the community. And we do this through organized resources. Any questions so far? Cool. Okay, cool. So to give you a visual of what we just talked about, this is what we call the power triangle. So you have to have the people, the ideas, and the resources. And if you have all of these together, this is how we demonstrate power. As the organized people, as the organizers, this is how we demonstrate power. And we need all three of these parts of the triangle to be equal and equitable in order to see an equitable outcome. So just something to keep in mind there. So this is the power triangle. Most organizers know about the power triangle. Doesn't matter what field you're in, because this goes across all sectors of any type of organizing. You need people, ideas, and you need resources. So yeah, wanted to give the power triangle. And then this was a question on if nonprofit organizations can even organize. The answer is yes, absolutely. There's three things that we need to avoid that we're going to do, or we're going to avoid if we are organizing. So if you're 501c3 especially, don't endorse or contribute to candidates or political parties, right? So like, for example, Planned Parenthood South Texas, we are 501c3. We are doing a lot more on getting out the vote. Do you have a plan to vote? We can be voter deputy registrars, so we can help people get registered to vote. But I'm not going to be out there saying you should vote against Greg Abbott. Like, I'm not going to be out there saying any of that kind of stuff, because that goes against the organizing principles for 501c3 nonprofits. The second one we want to avoid, don't engage in activities that oppose candidates or political parties. So I kind of just gave a good example of that. Like if there's a protest outside of Governor Abbott's house, we're not going to be there. We're not going to organize people to be there. We're not going to tell people to go. That's just something that outside groups can do by themselves. But as a 501c3 nonprofit, we are not going to be there encouraging that. And then lastly, if they do lobby, it is a small percent of their work. And I don't know if each nonprofit is different with what percentage that is, but I do know that it's a very small sliver of the work that you do, lobbying around different ideas. Like, an example, Texas just eliminated what they called the pink tax. And that was like taxes on menstrual products. So they just eliminated that. So if there were any lobbying around that, that is not something that we can participate in very heavily, because we are a 501c3. We can do education with the community around what the pink tax is and why we want it to be removed. But if we start lobbying, state lawmakers, that's where it gets to be really sticky. So we try and keep that very, very, very minimum. And we usually have 501c4 political arms that will take care of that for us. 501c3 is really dedicated to the community and organizing people in the community. There's a lot of information on this on irs.gov, just any, tax status stuff. So absolutely nonprofits can organize, and there's just certain things to avoid. It's typically political. Alrighty, this is just more examples of this organizing theory in action, this framework. So here on the left, we have some volunteers at Bernie Pride, a great example of organized people. Right here, another example, we're starting to have, at our annual luncheon, we're bringing in dozens of other nonprofits to help uplift their causes to our community. Great example of, we're organizing organizations as we bring them into our movement because there's so many intersections. Down here on the left, this is me with someone who actually runs an org called Periods SATX, where they give out free menstrual products to folks in San Antonio. And so we've paired up and started working together. And this was actually the first time we met. So this is a good example of like organizing, just being organic and like running into people in the community. And this was the Bands Off rallies happening in May of 2022 when Roe fell. So this is here in San Antonio. And I just love this photo. I think it's very indicative of kind of how people were feeling at the time and now. So this is the organizing theory in action. This is why we organize. So wanted to give just more pictures showing off my people. Okay, so now that we have the organizing theory down, why are we doing what we're doing? What's the issue that we're trying to fix when we're meeting people where they're at? And then how do we organize people around this issue? So the how is kind of what we're going to get into next. So strategic action, keyword being strategic, right? Like we want to be very intentional about the actions that we're doing and why we're doing them so that we're not wasting our own time, we're not wasting other people's time, and we're putting the boots on the ground where they need to be, right? Being right and winning are two different things, unfortunately. Because I think, for example, Planned Parenthood says abortion access for all. We are absolutely right, and we are not winning in that right now. So just, just an example of what that means. But motivation is absolutely essential to winning campaigns by way of organizing and leadership development of individuals. So when you saw Roe versus Wade fell, you saw protests like these all over the nation. And that was the motivating factor right there, was people who can get pregnant losing access to that very essential healthcare. And that motivated a lot of people who had never protested before to come out in the streets and express that frustration in a very healthy and intentional way. And it created movements across a lot of different states. Some people enshrined abortion access in their state government, via law. Some people, city councils, across Minnesota and Michigan have made it much easier to obtain abortions in their state, and even like help people say from out of state, like Texas, get safe care in their state as well. So that motivation is really important. And then galvanizing people to take action requires forethought on what comes next, always. So we're not just gonna take to the streets and have no plan on what happens after that. There's always a plan. There's always a plan. And anger is good when it's strategic. So that's where the strategic action comes in. And again, it's not always, organizing is protesting is great, and protesting is absolutely essential, I think, in the movement, but there's so many different things outside of just protesting in the street that is organizing. But this was just a good example of, what motivated these people to come out. Okay, so this is the slide that I really also wanted to show y'all, just as far as like, what does organizing look like outside of protesting, like direct action? So that's what in organizing speak, we call that direct action. This is protests, rallies, marches. It's also like mass call-ins, which you see to a lot of, calls to actions are like flood your representative inbox and you'll all hop on the same Zoom. You'll all call, Ken Paxton's office at the exact same time. And people, politicians notice that, elected officials notice that. So those are examples of direct action. Not everything in organizing is direct action. A lot of it, especially with what we do here at Planned Parenthood, is advocacy. And this is so many different things. It's not limited to this, but examples are attending federal, state, or local comments or testimonies. So I gave an example for the San Antonio Reproductive Justice Fund. First time the city has ever passed something like this. And I myself attended on behalf of Planned Parenthood, but also, brought brought people out that were interested in wanting to attend, whether they were volunteers with us, or they were board members, or they were donors, or they saw something we posted on social media, or they were a partner that we work with. So that's a good example of advocacy and advocacy organizing. Another one, letters to the editor, op-eds, anything on social media where you're like blasting it out to the public. Really good example of organizing advocacy and getting words into the sphere where folks are going to read them and feel galvanized, motivated to join the cause. And then educational workshops. So Cheyenne putting on this organizing 101 workshop is a perfect example of advocacy organizing, because we're bringing people into the movement that is CHW organizing and what y'all do in the community, and letting people know via educational workshops. So these are all not limited to this, but these are all examples of advocacy organizing. And then we have mutual aid. This is something that Planned Parenthood South Texas has recently gotten into. Period packing is a good example of this. Again, this was one of the first period packs we hosted last year. And this is where we have people donate period products to us using Amazon, and they all get delivered to our medical center office here. And then, we'll have people come in on a certain evening and we'll put period packs together. And then I can help, with the help of my volunteers, distribute them into the community and to get them into the hands that of people that need them. Example of mutual aid, because this was not any cost to us and it's not any cost to the people we're giving it to. So I think mutual aid is something that is so beautiful, and it's something that is can be hard to do all the time, because it does require resources outside of your own nonprofit. Another example of mutual aid that we engage in, anywhere we go to table in the community, whether it's health fairs or universities, we take Plan B. And this again is an example of mutual aid, because we get the Plan B for free. We get it from a company called Julie, and they're an emergency contraceptive as well. Plan B is just the brand name of the emergency contraceptive that a lot of people know. So anywhere we table, we bring emergency contraception, and we give it out to the community for free, no questions asked. We also give them out at our clinics for free, no questions asked. Just kind of mitigating the lack of access that Texas has for people who can get pregnant right now. Great example of mutual aid there too. So these are examples of what actions can look like when it comes to organizing. And it's a never-ending list. These are just examples that were top of mind, and some stuff that we had talked about already in this presentation, but I wanted to give some concrete examples here. Okay, so we're on to the tips, kind of how this can fit into your work, whether it be CHW or otherwise. The first tip is just to identify a problem or issue that you care about, right? So what issues are affecting the community that you serve, and then what are the values of your organization and community, and we got to make sure that they align, right? So for another example, I talked to an organizer with Move Texas yesterday. Move Texas is a 501c4, and they're issue-based advocacy organizing. So this particular organizer was very interested in gender justice and abortion access. And so, that was her identifying her problem. And so she's going to narrow in on that problem. She's going to do research. She's going to educate herself. And then she's going to find people that she can work with to help educate the community before she starts getting, pumping resources into the community that are intentional and will actually get to the hands of people that need it. So that's a great first tip. What problem are we trying to fix? And does that align with the values of your org? Tip number 2, big one, create a call to action. CTA, organizer speak CTA. So what needs to happen to solve for the problem? So I can just keep going back to our period packing, a project that we have here. What needs to happen? So the problem was period poverty, right? 1 in 5 people who can menstruate in Texas are living below the federal poverty line. And that doesn't include, I don't think that includes, children either. So The need is definitely there. So that's the problem, period poverty. So now we're on to, okay, what's the CTA? What needs to happen to solve for the problem? We need to get period products into the hands of people that need them, right? Who are the people in power that can make this change? People that can pay for the period products. So that's where we reach out to donors. That's where we reach out to even volunteers who are willing to help contribute monetarily. Um, and then how do you reach them? Oh gosh, various and sundry ways. I made some personal calls to volunteers who would be willing to help. We put out an email blast here from our Planned Parenthood South Texas computers. And then we put out quarterly publications called Horizons, and we put the project in there for people to read about its impact, and then left people a way to donate using our Amazon wish list. So it's usually going to be a multi-pronged approach when it comes to the call to action, but it's all reaching the same goal of trying to end period poverty where we can. So we've got the issue, we've got the CTA, the call to action. Now we start to engage the community. So who are the people that are impacted in your problem, right? And that's just people who can menstruate that maybe don't have access to menstrual products. Do they have a seat at the table? This is a really, really good question when it comes to equity. We want to make sure that we are talking to the community to make sure we're meeting the need in the way that they need us to. So I oftentimes when I'm dropping these period packs off to our nonprofit partners who are giving them to their clients or their patients, I'm asking them, is there anything else we need to be doing? Are we missing some stuff in our period packs? Does there need to be more than just pads and sanitizing wipes, and panty liners? Does there need to be more? Does there need to be physical hand sanitize? Making sure that we are allowing for it all of the information to trickle back up to the people who are distributing all of the period packs out into the community. So what's the impact and will it be felt? I mean, the impact for us has been 8,000 period packs across South Texas. Has it been felt? I think so. We get uh, a lot of folks actually telling us, I found your period packs here, here, and here. And I still have an email printed out from someone who found our period packs at the Rape Crisis Center and said that she had not had access to period products for months. And it's that type of engagement that is just, it tells you that the work you're doing is actually working. And that is like irreplaceable as far as like the feeling that you hold on to. And then how will the power bill impact the outcome? Are we growing our collective influence? This is asking, you know, are we building power while giving these period packs out in the community? And the answer, in my opinion, we have to be. In order to scale this project to be bigger and bigger and bigger, we have to bring more people in. We have to bring in, newer ideas. We have to bring in, more resources, more physical period products, right? So this is just something that we're constantly reevaluating as far as how we're engaging with the community. And actually, a good example of that is this has grown into repro pantries. So a lot of our 501c3 partners, well, a handful of them, have full reproductive health pantries on site for their clients. So this includes free period products. This includes vouchers for free or discounted care with us. This includes emergency contraception. This includes pregnancy tests. This includes, sanitary products outside of menstrual products. So it's expanding more and more and more, meaning we are growing our collective influence. And it just started with putting some pads in a Ziploc bag and sending them down to migrants at the border. So yeah, this was the last tip in engaging the community after you've figured out the CTA. And then I'm going to leave y'all with this quote. I am a huge fan of Angela Davis, and she was a Black Panther who organized with the Black Panther movement in the 60s. And it says, you have to act as if it were possible to radically transform the world, and you have to do it all the time. And this kind of stuck out to me because, like, yes, organizing can be a department in the nonprofit that you work at. Oftentimes it's not going to be, right? Because not in nonprofit life, maybe we don't have the time, the resources, the capacity to have a full organizing department. I know we don't. So I think of organizing as a way of approaching intersectional issues, and organizing being the solution, or the, the foundation in the road to the solution, because it involves bringing in so many different types of people and groups and ideas to combat this intersectional issue together. Um, I think of organizing as a lens that you view societal issues through. Um, and it makes those issues less daunting because we're coming at it as a team. Um, but yeah, so I think that's all I have. If there's questions, I'm here for it. Cheyenne, if you have other things.
Yeah, no, wow, I loved that. I'm gonna stay off video because I think I have bad internet today, but wow, that was amazing. I have a couple questions and then I'll turn it over to our crowd. So first of all, I was impressed by everything you did before you even graduated college when you got to the bullet of like the third after the third successful organizing win. It said you graduated college, so good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then I'm really glad that you brought up like nonprofits can organize and they can advocate and they can even lobby a little bit. Because I think I hear so many 501c3s are like, oh, we can't do that. And so I have a question about endorsing bills as either it's individuals or organizations. So for example, right now in the Senate, there's a CHW Access Act, and it would, if passed, it would provide more funding for community health workers. Is that something that, like I could circulate to this group? And I work for an educational institution, so maybe it's a little bit different, but like, say like, hey, you could sign this form and then let your legislator know that you're in support of this bill. Can you tell me where that falls?
Yeah, absolutely. So you said you work for like an educational institution. Do you know, like, is your tax status 501c4?
Ooh, I would have to check. I know I
Okay,
can't endorse candidates.
gotcha. Okay, I was just wondering. So
Yeah.
because it's like a ballot initiative kind of, and you're
Mm-hmm.
not endorsing candidates or parties, you should be able to just broadcast that out to your network, and they can broadcast that out to their networks. And like a great example being the San Antonio Reproductive Justice Fund. That was a ballot initiative that we shouted from the rooftops. So because it's not tied to a candidate or a party, that is totally allowed. And especially if you're 501c4, it makes it even less like tricky.
Okay.
But 501c3s are absolutely allowed to engage with ballot initiatives. For those who are in San Antonio and remember Prop A, that was like in the fall, we were engaged in that ballot initiative, and we were asking folks to sign on, and we were helping partner organizations get signatures. So yeah, that's allowed for sure.
Okay. Thank you.
I
Um,
want to know more about that act. That sounds cool.
yeah, well, I'll share it with everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, for everyone who's here, I am gonna put in the chat box the survey that you take to get your continuing education credit today. For that are there any questions from the audience?
If I may, my name is Paula Barrera.
Yes, please.
Thank you. So being with another organization, we did travel to the capital of Texas, Austin. We organized to support the DACA, and we also organized to support for immigration reform.
Mhm.
And we did organize several organizations. We traveled from Bronzeville to Austin. We did a one bus from here, and then another bus traveled from Hidalgo County, McAllen, Edinburgh, Alamo. And yes, we were already organized. We briefed our community during the bus before we exited the bus. And then after that, we marched pacifically to the Capitol, but we were already, some of our community leaders were already prepared the Capitol, well, some of the leaders that represent us in the Capitol already knew that we were coming.
Mm.
And I was one of the leaders that went into the Capitol, and I already had my folder and to visit our elected representatives.
Mhm.
So I remember I had to visit 3, but so before exiting, we organized. So while we were going already into their offices, we already had a folder,
Mhm.
and I already had a group of people, and they already knew what to do. So one of them would talk about DACA, and the other one, the first one they would let them know who were we. Everybody had a duty to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is very true. Thank you for the presentation.
Absolutely. That sounds
Yeah.
like our lobby day. We did the exact same thing. We had people prepped and ready to go with folders, and we had like a script for people to do when they walked into their elected official's office, because it can be kind of daunting if you've never done that before. It can be a little bit scary. I mean, I know it was for me. I still get scared walking into some of those Republicans' offices of, just depending on the person. Um, but yeah, and that's a really great example of organizing, and especially that type of organizing around, oh gosh, anything to do with law or ballots can be exhausting. And especially, in Texas with SB4 still looming. Thank you for doing that work. And immigration definitely intersects with everything. Just kind of like how I think reproductive health intersects with literally everything. And a lot of our patients, we don't know their status, and that shouldn't matter. So yeah, thank you for sharing that for sure.
Thanks, Paula. Guadalupe?
I know
Yes, hi
Guadalupe.
everyone. Hey. Thanks for the wonderful presentation. I just wanted to add to, the majority, I don't know if the majority of the attendees are CHWs, but just want to remind everyone how we as community health workers are in a very influential position, right? Because we have understanding of the issues and also our connections with our community and our families, and many of us being impacted by policies and procedures that are impacting our day-to-day life. So I just want to remind everyone of our responsibility to be active advocates. And at the same time, many people may say, well, I don't want to get in trouble with my employer, but you still have the right and the responsibility to advocate on your own. So what are some of the things that we should be considering if we want to be more active in leading perhaps advocacy efforts and make the separation from employer to actual, just you as an individual and resident?
I love this question. I love this question. Thank you for that. I I can speak for myself. I know I definitely, I organize on behalf of Planned Parenthood, but there are plenty of times that I go to public comments as Kate, because I don't like, whatever is happening. So if it ties into, I'll answer for me. If it ties into my work, if it ties into anything reproductive health, reproductive justice, I always ask my supervisor. And I have a wonderful supervisor. I don't know if she's on this call. Her name is Mata. And I always try and go to her to see, like, do we want Planned Parenthood to be involved in this? Do we not want Planned Parenthood to be involved in this? So hopefully that relationship with your supervisor is there where you can feel comfortable to ask. And then if they're like, no, we don't really need to do anything, or we don't want the organization to be represented in whatever is happening, then you can kind of take off and go by yourself, and kind of do organizing on your own time. So I think what that looks like is just keeping up with, again, issue areas that like really matter to you, whether it's immigration, like Paula was saying, or whether it's, abortion access, or whether it's gender justice, or what have you. Keeping up with those in real time. I always like to say, especially in Texas, and I know that all of us are very familiar with like working in Texas in a landscape of public health. It's uh tiring. So I always say, start local, end local. And I know that the ending local should be expanding to be larger than that at some point, but starting local, meaning have those one-on-ones with organizations that work in, immigration or organizations that work in reproductive justice, and like literally just email someone that works there and say, hey, can I sit down and have 15 minutes of a conversation with you so I know, kind of what you're doing, how I can fit in and help with that. One-on-ones are really, really big for organizers. Just like having conversations with people and learning, what can I do to help? And I think you can do that on behalf of your org, and you can also just do that like as a human being. And then finding any organizations that you want to be a part of, or at least keep up with, either via email, social media, whatever you may choose, outside of work. So I have several organizations that I keep up with outside of Planned Parenthood, that keep me abreast of kind of what's going on in the San Antonio community. And that has helped me kind of expand my horizons as well. Did that help answer your question, or am I missing some stuff?
No, that's excellent. Because now, now we don't have excuses, colleagues. You can separate from your employer and really, be more active and engage more in advocacy. So this is wonderful. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
I
and
will add,
yeah,
probably, when you're doing anything like this, of course, clearly make the separation that you are representing yourself. Do not
mhm,
wear anything that may imply that you're representing your employer. So nothing on you that can imply that. And so, yeah, I don't know if this helps people, but I think it was a wonderful response. Thank you.
yeah. Oh my gosh, thank you. Yeah, just like really quick 10 seconds. Anytime I go, like I went to a public comment to talk on behalf of Planned Parenthood for the San Antonio Reproductive Justice Fund. I made verbally clear that I was speaking on behalf of Planned Parenthood when I made that public comment. Now, there have been other things that I have gone to public comments for that I just say, hey, my name is Kate Sanchez and I'm a member of District 1. Like that's how I kind of separate the two. So that's a really good point. I will say, yeah, burnout is real. So be kind to yourself, be kind to your time, and you know, pick and choose your battles. I say that as a person in my later 20s that is like really flirting with burnout. So, and that's not a flex. That's not good. But it's just because we all care. None of y'all would choose to be CHWs if you didn't care about the community around you. So I appreciate the work that y'all do every single day. And yeah, just be kind to yourself and be kind to your time.
Oh, that was so awesome. Sorry, I wanted to add something else.
Yeah.
In relation to burnout, also in this work of advocacy, you don't have what is it called, permanent enemies, or you don't have enemies. It's just a difference of opinion. So also to keep in mind that, maybe you don't win that issue that you really care about this time around, but maybe next time, and maybe you can later on have the opportunity to inform people and change the way they view the issues. So that's also important to know that, not to make enemies of people that have different opinions.
Absolutely. And that's sometimes easier said than done. Just sometimes though. So a lot of the time, yeah, we have to try and separate the work that we do from people that we are around day to day, especially when it comes to anything political, which unfortunately everything is political now. So yeah, just reminding yourself that like we're all humans, we all make mistakes, we're all imperfect, and we're all just out here trying to advocate for causes that make a positive impact in the community. So
Thanks, Kate and Guadalupe. That really resonated with me. I've also lived in DC, and I felt like after I lived in DC for 2 years, I was just kind of like apolitical, and
yeah, God,
people would try to engage me in conversations, and I'm like, I'm taking a break right now.
I was like, and I'm gonna go mutual aid. Like that's what's
Yeah.
happening.
Other questions? Or I do see Janie on, and I know Janie, you are contributing to a module that we are developing on advocacy. Would you like to share your experience in community organizing? Oh, you know what? I think she dropped.
Maybe she did. There's so many people here. Oh my gosh, yay.
There are. All right. Oh, there you are, Janie.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay, go, your question again, I'm sorry?
Just like your experience down in the valley with organizing.
Yes, hi, my name is Janie Carreño. I'm a community health worker instructor with LRGVA HEC here in the South Texas. My experience with advocacy, it all depends on in the role or the need that we're working on at the current moment. But one experience that I had was with preventive care for women and advocating for them in providing access to care. So again, you mentioned, Kate, education, getting the resources and so forth. So those are some of the steps that we take, educating and providing the resources for the ladies at depending on their age, because I know some can start some of their activities, sexual activities, I don't know how you would say it here in this platform, at an early age. So we try to reach young ladies up to the age of 65 or to, be mindful of the preventive care. Planned Parenthood was a very essential part of that as well. We partnered with them. And then also looking for the access to care and their eligibility on some of the services that are available in this region. That those have been challenging, again, because of the undocumented or their legal status is not in place. So it can be a little difficult for that. So we advocate in that aspect as well, access to care. So
Oh my gosh, I'm glad that we partnered together. That's so cool.
Yes, we did in this area. Yeah. And I see Bill has her hand up, Miss
Yes, that'd be great.
I just wanted to chime in. This was a great presentation. Thank you so much, Kate. I wanted to say that to use the resources you have, sometimes we don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's resources already available. Partner with them. Partnering, collaboration is key. Also, don't forget about your staffers. Whenever you need to talk to legislative people, know that the staffers for them, for your senators, for your congressmen, House of Representatives, they carry a lot of weight. Meet with them, educate them about your cause. It makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. 9 times out of 10, when you go and meet with an elected official, it's going to be a staffer. Just because like that's who's running the office, and so it's important to give them the time of day, give them the one pager, give them your name and email, because they're going to be the ones that are likely reaching out to you for the elected official. But that's a really good point. And yeah, don't reinvent the wheel. The only reason we're doing this period project is because no one else was doing it. Because otherwise I would have been reaching out to other people. But yeah, I think that that's a really important thing too, because if we don't have to put our thinking cap on all the time and like give our brain a rest, I think that totally works. And that's where like collaborations come in between Planned Parenthood and other orgs in the Valley, or Planned Parenthood. We have tons up here in San Antonio as well, where if I don't have to reinvent the wheel, it's a great day. It's a great day. And there's 7 or 8 times out of 10, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And that's what I've seen. But it does take research to reach out to those partners who are doing that work. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Maria. I appreciate it. Thanks for all the questions.
There's a lot of love in the comments. So great job. All right. I think we'll wrap it up unless if anyone wants to shout out. Raise your hand.
I am going to put in my email in the chat just for anyone who wants it, needs it. There you go. Reach out to me whenever. Like I said, I manage the volunteer program, but I also do organizing here with plenty of orgs. So if we can work together, let's do it,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Man, my computer's slow today. I think you should at least see. All right, it's not going to get any bigger. But so this was today. In fact, let me move to the next slide. Maybe not like. So our next webinar will be, let's see, today is, okay, it'll be April 18th. by Roni Vela. She is a CHW and CHW instructor. She is going to be doing a workshop on job application skills. And so this is what happens to even get that interview, updating your resume, writing a cover letter to get noticed, and then maintaining a professional headshot. And then in May, we'll take a break from job application skills in honor of Mental Health Month. We will do a workshop on caring for yourself and ensuring that your mental health needs are met and that you're able to achieve wellness as a CHW. And then we'll resume in June with job application skills part 2, and that'll be on interviewing skills. So that's gonna take us partway through the summer. And then if you have your phone, take it out, take a picture of this QR code, and oh, I actually might be able to, yeah, still frozen. Okay, here we are. I'm trying to use this listserv more. So if you sign up and I get a job announcement, I check to see who is signed up and who lives in that town or that city or county to make sure that I'm getting regionally appropriate job announcements and training announcements to you. And then earlier in the chat, I put the link. Nope, it's gone now. I'll see if I can find it.
I got you. I can copy and paste.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, the link for getting the survey for if you're a certified CHW, then if you're a certified CHW, make sure you fill out the CEU link, and then those 2 last links are more information on signing on to the CHW Access Bill or CHW Access Act. And then there are some local associations in Texas. So there's the State Texas Association of Promotores and CHWs. If you're interested in getting involved to advocate for the CHW workforce across the state. I'm actually going to be in Austin on Monday. I'm fortunate and feel lucky enough to be invited to join some folks in Austin to advocate for better CHW funding through Texas Medicaid on Monday. I know San Antonio has a CHW association, but I think there's like 7 or 8 associations across the state. So if you are in charge of yours regionally, send it to me and I can pass it around. Thanks so much, everyone.
Yeah, thank y'all. Y'all were awesome. I appreciate it. I would do this again in a heartbeat. So excited to work with y'all in the community. So thank you.
Yay. All right, I'm trying to show my video and my computer just hates me today.
There we go.
All right, good to see you all, and we'll see you next month.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you.